One of the key rules when dealing with authoritarians is you never obey in advance. Frankly, I think it should be shortened to never obey, because when you talk about in advance, it means obey at some point in time. Well, union leaders across the country, in my view, many of them, not all of them, many of them, are continuing to throw their union members under the bus by promoting Donald Trump, who is going to gut the very essence of unions, going to gut collective bargaining rights. I mean, look, take a look on Friday what Teamsters president Sean O'Brien posted. He writes the following: "Thank you, real Donald Trump, for putting American workers first." Let's pause there for a second. When has Donald Trump ever once put American workers first? He never has. Let's go on and read it. "Thank you for putting American workers first by nominating Representative Lori Chavez DeRemer for U.S. Labor Secretary. Nearly a year ago, you joined us for a Teamsters roundtable and pledged to listen to workers and find common ground." I mean, you do realize the moves that Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and others have been making just over the past 2 weeks. Do you not want to acknowledge them? I mean, you do realize that this fake Doge agency that's being led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy is basically keen on gutting all worker protections, gutting the National Labor Relations Board. You do realize that this Doge committee is going to be working in concert with Marjorie Taylor Greene in the House of Representatives. She's going to lead the subcommittee. You think that's going to be helpful for union workers? You do realize about 2 weeks ago, a Trump-appointed judge in the Eastern District of Texas gutted the right of 4 million Americans to overtime protections. Americans who are making less than about $56,000 would have gotten automatic overtime, but a Trump-appointed judge says that that rule by Biden's Department of Labor was invalid. You do realize, Sean O'Brien and other union leaders, that Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos just this week were arguing before the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, where they forum shopped their case, that the National Labor Relations Board should not exist. And you do realize that it's almost certainly going to be the Trump administration's policy to just completely gut the NLRB. Like, you realize that the lawyers representing Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are the exact types of people Donald Trump would appoint to lead the NLRB, taking away all of the collective bargaining rights of unions. Like, do you want to talk about that and address that? Or do you prefer to go to Mar-a-Lago with your long red ties and give the thumbs up gesture? Like, you do realize what's taking place here. And it's not just Sean O'Brien, the head of the Teamsters. I mean, you have the head of the Longshoremen's Union as well, engaging in that type of conduct, taking photos with Donald Trump. You have the Firefighters Union refusing to endorse Vice President Kamala Harris. You have the border union endorsing Donald Trump. But I think the union workers are understanding what's taking place here. They've actually created their own subreddit talking about this. Here's what the union workers are posting right now. "Is the union more concerned about trans than our job?" Teamster union members who voted for President-elect Donald Trump said it was definitely social issues like trans rights and immigration that made them support the seemingly anti-union candidate. Oh, by the way, I should also mention that the main author of Project 2025 was appointed to head the Office of Management and Budget. That's right, Russell Vought, who literally wrote Project 2025, which also deals with dismantling unions, is now running the Office of Management and Budget. I think that was important that I got that in there as well. Just take a look at this subreddit, and a lot of union members understand the hustle that's taking place to them right now, and they're pissed. Take a look at this one. This is an absolutely nonsense right-wing propaganda talking point. Look at the text of all the public addresses given by Harris as a candidate and Biden before that. You'll see very little of them talking about trans issues other than very occasional, like, let's be nice to one another. You'll see plenty about fair pay, labor protections, and more equitable wealth distribution. The right, on the other hand, talk about trans people constantly. As the right controls the shit corporate media that sets the national narratives, they effectively made the race about trans issues, despite that not being the focus of the Harris campaign at all. Divisive rhetoric to get workers to vote against their own interests, tale as old as time. Then this next comment is, it's absolutely right-wing creating made-up issues meant to divide people and stir up moral panic. Trans people are like 1% of the population and harming no one. And then another person points out it's actually less than 1% of the population. It's the classic GOP platform. Blame all of the issues on a small group. You're going to piss that group off, but who cares if it's less than 1% of the population, and they probably wouldn't have voted for you anyway. You win by getting your voting base to be mad at some non-existing threat that you can eliminate to fix all of their issues. Another comment, they went after trans people and Haitians like around 1% of the U.S. population, the 99% who have to show up to work and get scraps from billionaires if they're lucky. They absolutely made sure that was not the focus of the election, and billionaire serving outfits like CNN were more than happy to carry their water. They're fighting a culture war while everyone is dying from lack of housing and rising cost of groceries and lack of access to good health care. It's actually less than that. The estimate is about 0.6% of the U.S. population identifies as trans. It's fascism 101. Blame an already marginalized group of society for all the problems. The GOP focused on trans and migrants. In the meantime, it's the GOP and the right that are the cause of most of the problems average Americans have. Trickle-down BS, income equality, workers' rights, minimum wage. Why anyone believes the GOP is the party for the working class is beyond me. Nothing in the last 40 years backs that up. And despite the union, the NLRB being gutted by Trump, and we have a track record from Trump administration 1, what he did to the unions, nonetheless, you still have these union leaders who are the union bosses supporting Donald Trump, currying favor with Donald Trump. Well, let me show you here. I interviewed Mike Monroe about 2 years ago or so. And Mike Monroe is the North America Building Trades Union Chief of Staff at that time. And he was telling me, he goes, look, we have tried. Remember, this was like a year and a half. When I did this interview, it was about a year and a half into the Biden administration. And he said, look, in a year and a half, Biden's kept every promise to us, delivered exactly what we've asked for, and has been the most pro-union president in history. That was a year into the Biden administration. And he said, look at what Trump did. He went through each thing. This is very detailed, but it's important that you get the facts and the data. Here, play this clip. When you have someone like that, like a Trump, just so brutally lie to people, and it's a vicious lie because he's playing with your family's life and your livelihood. You know, for him, it's a gimmick. Infrastructure week. We're building this. We're doing that. To millions of Americans, what that means is, what type of dinner am I going to put on my family's plate? And so when he so savagely lies to people like that, how do we message to people like what that is, what that truly means, and have people not be distracted onto, you know, the next scam or the next gimmick?
We had 4 core issues where we were directly engaged, right? And we were told one thing and then nothing materialized, right? As I said, the anti-labor bent, undermining the apprenticeship system that has worked for 100 years, registered apprenticeship system, infrastructure never materialized. And then he told our leadership, most notably Teamsters and others, that he was going to protect their pensions. None of that happened. And in the first calendar year of President Biden and Vice President Harris's administration, with Democrats control the House and a narrow majority in the Senate, they protected those pensions. They've invested in infrastructure. They've restaffed the NLRB, right? They've protected, they got rid of IRAPs, which was the assault on apprenticeship. I mean, in 1 year, that moved. And that's what we communicate to our folks about. Cloud out all the noise. These things have tangible benefits to your life, to your family's lives. And this was done under this administration, despite all the banners and the rallies and the mastering of, you know, language and sort of propaganda. Let's look at the results. And that's where we find ourselves.
Folks, now more than ever, we've got to stay calm. For me, staying calm, it's a way of life. It's how I synthesize, process, and ultimately explain data. It's the way I run this network. And there is a lot happening these days, I know. And if you've had difficulty focusing, look, you're not alone. But may I make a suggestion for you? It's called calm. It's what I use. It's the #1 app for sleep and meditation, and it gives you the power to calm your mind and change your life. Calm knows that everyone faces unique challenges in their daily lives. We're all different, and mental health isn't about a one-size-fits-all solution. So Calm offers a wide range of content to help you navigate life's up and downs with programs like meditations to help you work through anxiety, sleep stories, sleep meditations, ground exercises, expert-led talks. Calm puts the tools you need right in your pocket and can help you dedicate just a few minutes each day to a healthier, happier life. So stress less, sleep more, and live a better life with Calm. For listeners of our show, Calm is offering an exclusive offer of 40% off a Calm premium subscription at Calm, C-A-L-M, calm.com/Meidas. So go to calm.com/Meidas for 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library. That's calm.com/Meidas. Let me show you this. Here is Congress member Ro Khanna also reiterating what I just said, is that Trump is going to get rid of the National Labor Relations Board, which is the very forum for union members to assert grievances. That's what you do with, it's like the purpose of the union, so that you can collectively bargain for your rights to make sure you're not screwed over by management. And the National Labor Relations Boards help safeguard those rights. And the very institute that safeguards the employment is going to be gutted. And then you have, these union leaders saying, oh, they're so great, Donald Trump. Here, play this clip of Congressmember Ro Khanna.
Breaking news on the front page of the Washington Post today. The Trump administration is already planning a betrayal of the working class in America by dismantling the NLRB. The NLRB is the National Labor Relations Board. It was created by FDR in 1935 and has protected American workers for almost 100 years. It allows workers to file a grievance if they are fired illegally, if their employer retaliates against them, if they have issues of wage theft. And now we learned that the Trump administration has an elaborate scheme to get rid of the NLRB. We need to educate workers about this betrayal.
I finally want to show you this right over here. Take a look at Donald Trump's cabinet right now. Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary, net worth $2 billion. Linda McMahon, Education Secretary, $3.2 billion. Kelly Loeffler, Agriculture Secretary, $800 million net worth. Elon Musk, who's going to be running the Doge, which is going to gut union protections. Elon Musk laughs at firing workers who strike. $315 billion. Vivek Ramaswamy, $960 billion. Doug Burgum, Interior Secretary, net worth $1.1 billion. Dr. Oz, who's going to be running Medicare and Medicaid services. He talked about privatizing it before. $200 million. Chris Wright, Energy Secretary, $150 million. I just want you to think about all of that. Those are the people. Just think about the ruling by the NLRB in the last week. The NLRB with Biden appointees ruled employers cannot hold mandatory anti-union meetings. What do you think the NLRB would do that under Donald Trump? No, the NLRB is going to do the opposite. The NLRB is frankly not even going to exist under Donald Trump. Here's the other headline. Amazon and SpaceX are challenging the NLRB's constitutionality in federal court. In other words, Musk is saying the NLRB simply should never exist. So if it should never exist and Elon Musk is Trump's top advisor, how are you as a union head congratulating Donald Trump for being a pro-worker? I mean, it is absolutely insane. And at some point in time, you need leaders to lead and tell people the truth and fight for the union workers. If you want to say, which I don't know why you would ever do this, we are hopeful that there'll be something different this time around. But for you to affirmatively lie, in my opinion, to your rank and file over and over again and not tell them the facts, you're just spewing into this propaganda machine. Anyway, we'll call it out. I think union workers get what's going on, but we'll keep calling it out here. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.